Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. We both cheated. Can we turn the chapter? Advice. My BF, 27, and I, 19, have been together for almost 2 years. We met in our hometown, on the first week of August of 2019. There were no expectations as we were both off to different cities for university. After about 4 dates, September came. We parted ways but remained in contact. He came to visit me right after my move for 3 days and 2 nights, and after that every month I flew to see him. The trips ranged from 4 to 18 days. I asked very clearly if we were exclusive, in a relationship and so forth, to ensure we were on the same page. He agreed that we were. A couple months later he told me that he does not see a future with me. I loved him at this point and I'm not the kind to give up until I've tried everything, so instead of leaving I chose to stay and see what can be done to change his mind. Time passed and everything was going great. So I thought. Then came August 2020. We both moved back to our hometowns for good. I thought this would be a step in the right direction because there was no physical distance between us anymore, but I was wrong. I had a breakdown as I was going through some mental health issues and I called and asked what we were, why he's been distant, why isn't he there for me and not meeting my expectations in the relationship, etc. I told him I want my man to be a pillar in my life and he blatantly said I cannot be that for you. It was at that point that I mentally checked out of the relationship and started speaking to someone else. I fell in love. But I was cheating because I never cut ties with my boyfriend. This continued for 9 months. The new guy cared for me, he helped me find an apt, he helped me move, we went furniture shopping, he set up the furniture, he came to see me every day and check up on me. When I texted him simply babe I'm not feeling well, he'd be at my door with food, painkillers, vitamins, etc. He was everything I wanted, but I couldn't let my first go. I don't know why. I can't explain it. So come to now. June 2021. Both guys find out I have been cheating. The 9-month one and I hash things out, and we party ways. This leaves me with my actual first boyfriend. The one who I can't see myself detaching from. The first person I ever envisioned a future with. We speak. He makes me feel like absolute shit for my actions, which he has every right to do so. I apologize and I give him access to everything. My phone, apps, everything. And a week later he tells me he cheated on me too. With 3 girls. I lost it. Instead of being there, being present and making us work, he went on to sleep with 3 people. While I was there ready to give him the world. In the relationship I felt not valued. I wanted my man to be there for me when I need him. I wanted my man to show that he cares for my well-being and for me as me, not as a body. Was that too much to ask for? I wouldn't have sought that elsewhere had that been offered to me. I wanted a partner who loved me. I asked him why he cheated and he said it was to scratch and itch. He said that those encounters were meaningless to him. And apparently that my actions were worse. I explained to him that we both royally FK'd up and that we shouldn't be quantifying the size if the FK up, but if we are, I jeopardized what we had for someone who loved me, for someone who saw me as his wife in the future, who presented me to his family, who wanted a life with me, whereas he jeopardized what we had for sex. I just don't understand what they had that I didn't. I was there for him. I flew to see him every single month. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of him and his needs before he made mention of anything. I took care of myself. I'm a straight A student in university with scholarships and on the honors roll. I'm graduating early, I have a fantastic job for a girl my age, I'm fully independent financially, I live on my own. Like I do everything to make myself be the best version. I did everything to make him feel like I was there for him. Even the little things like folding his clothes and putting them aside for him to wear the next day, or making the bed while he's in the shower so when he gets out he comes into a clean room. Like, what did those 3 girls have that I don't? Why did he feel the need to cheat? I know my reasons, but I don't know his. All this to say, despite everything, I want us to turn the page and start a new chapter. But I have no idea where to begin. I was wondering if anyone had advice on what we should do to move forward, but most importantly to better ourselves. I want us to become better people, not only for each other but primarily for ourselves. I already have a therapist and have seen the benefits, so I offered couples counseling and he's super willing to go. I was wondering if there are any books you would suggest we read, any steps you suggest we take, and so forth. I have some questions about why a 25-year-old man would be dating a 17-year-old. I highly suggest you cut ties and seek out therapy. He's not emotionally available and seems like a creep. Thank you. I started doing the math the second I saw 19 and 27. I would suggest you read Green Eggs and Ham. You are 19. Why tie down to a dude who wasn't honest with you and wanted an odd sort of control of you by getting your phone and apps and all that, while he nearly did the same thing? 19. You should date a 20-year-old. Someone you have more in common with and are at the same stage of life. 19. I 100% guarantee this is not your lifelong partner. I don't think the age gap is as big of a deal as people make it out to be. I really do understand where people are coming from, but I also find age a Western concern. In our culture, our age gap is extremely common. Girls in the East are raised to be very mature early on. At 17, I moved out to a different city. I was leasing a Benz. I paid for my own tuition of about $20K. 1 year out of 4, I had my own apt and not a shitty one. It had floor-to-ceiling windows in the heart of downtown. I was doing well and I did it on my own. Mommy and daddy aren't there to help me. At 18, it only got better. And now at 19, I'm graduating a year early. I work at a huge law firm. I make a lot more than most. My life is set up in a way that most my age are nowhere near where I'm at in life. My dad is 70. I wasn't raised with the mentality that most 19-year-olds have. I don't have Instagram, TikTok and so forth. I find that it makes people passive, unproductive, and most 20-year-olds don't understand that. I don't party. I work on ensuring that I can earn enough to leave a legacy for my kids in the future. So picture a regular guy at 21 meeting me at 19. I'm obviously not willing to settle on anyone that is in a worse position than I am in. I want drive and ambition, not a guy who watches TikToks at 3 a.m. Sadly, most 21-year-olds aren't like this. Sorry for spelling mistakes, English is not my first language. If you have all that going for you, then why bother with a dude like that? He was wishy-washy with you. Dishonest. Gotta be a better guy out there. You have way too much going for you to be messing with this man. Sounds like a wonderful match made in cheater's heaven/hell. You are made for one another. Your entire adult life has been wrapped around this cheater. You need to separate from him. Build yourself up as an independent adult woman and then decide what kind of man you want to commit to. You know, at this point, I just want you to be together and don't harm anybody else. Both of you seem like selfish and immature people that will most likely just hurt your new partners, so stay together and work both of your shits out. What kind of loser 25-yo starts dating a 17-yo? I want us to turn the page and start a new chapter. But I have no idea where to begin. It's quite simple, really. Move on. This pattern of codependency that you both are in isn't healthy. All it will do is offer more hard truths that will result in the both of you in a future constantly cheating on one another. Being in a relationship is a two-way street, with both parties having the equal love, trust and respect that's needed to make any lasting relationship work. And from the sounds of it, you were putting more work into this than him, so why stay for this? It sounds like he was already cheating on you when you asked where you two stood in your relationship. As a result of his betrayals, you yourself became no better than him when you started your own cheating. You could have kicked him to the curb with a clean slate. While I do not applaud you for your infidelity, I can see you are trying to fix things, but this can't be with him since you both now have this new history of betrayal. You have your own sins to live with, but you cannot get clean with your addiction still hanging around you. Even if you find some way to reconcile, it will always be held together with tape rather than glue. One tear and the whole thing breaks apart all over again. Start over. For your own good. He might not show it, but he'll feel relief too. You're still so young. You need to really explore all open avenues while rediscovering what you truly want in life. If you are comparing infidelities, yours is much worse. You are a double cheater and liar. You cheated longer and with love. He just cheated with open girls, no commitment. Yours is a catastrophic betrayal. Get help for your toxic self-delusions and pray you are not setting your life pattern for future relationships. You lost me at 19 and 27. Not good. I'd move on. I am a perpetrator, I cheated. I need eyesight so I can help her. Reconciliation. This is going to be long, so I apologize. However, I want to get the full context of our relationship along with what I have done out there. Hopefully, hearing from the victims here, I can learn what I can do to help her and our children and try to give her some semblance of a normal life at some point in the future, whether I am in it or not. We have been together for 24 years, married for 11. We have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old and another one unexpected on the way. About the time she became pregnant, I became distant. When our firstborn arrived and things were non-existent between us, I cheated. No affairs, no emotional connections, just physical. I went down this rabbit hole. I would stop for a while, then it became easy and I just kept going back and forth to it. It had been going on for 4 years. Jumping around with different women. Like I was trying to fill a void. I just wanted her to want me the way I wanted her. Show me that. She is perfect in every way. She is beautiful, smart, strong and very independent. We are great together in all aspects of life. We have the same taste, have the same values, never disagree on how to raise our children or how to build for our future. Everything was perfect except for our intimacy. We both come from broken homes. Her mother never wanted children. She had to pretty much raise her brother from the time she was 9. She leans pretty introverted, so it has been tough socially for us to have fun outside and inside of the bedroom. I had always hoped over time with marriage, a family, and obtaining goals that introversion would shed away with me. I very rarely received affirmation from her. Over time I began to feel unwanted. I should have left and forced the issues. Instead I cheated, a lot. I didn't want to leave my children. Over the years I neglected her in multiple ways. I think it was because of the lack of intimacy and non-existent effort in this area from her. My insecurities because of this led me to neglect her and eventually start cheating. Everything is out on the table, she knows everything and is still asking questions, wanting details. I am being open and transparent about everything even though I know it is killing her. It's like I expected her to change who she was, put in more of an effort, show me love and affection, and it's just not who she is. Instead of accepting this and making the hard choice of leaving, I cheated and ruined her for life. How does she move on? What can I do? I am going to counseling, I have moved out, starting church, trying to find answers of who I am and why I did what I did. I owe her, my children that. I don't want my children growing up without their father in the household. We both know what that is like, but how does she ever recover? Can we recover? She is perfect in every way. Well then you definitely don't deserve her. It sounds like you've been a serial cheater for a long time. What has changed that this didn't bother you before, but it bothers you now? Is it that you got caught? It did bother me before, very much so, each and every time. I regret every time. I would stop then after a few weeks of the same old non-communicative, vanilla, no intimacy and lack of effort from her end, which had been brought, discussed and acknowledged for years without changing its effort. I would go do it again. So you're lying to your GF and us. I just can't tell if you're lying to yourself too, because the things you just said aren't true. What do you mean they aren't true? Those are the facts. How do you know if she ever showed me affection, if she surprised me with kindness from time to time, if she showed me affirmation? God, you sound just like my WH. He said the same stupid shit about his AP. She showed interest in him. She made him feel wanted and good about himself and important. You know what should have made you feel wanted and important? The mother of your children. The woman who devoted herself and her life to you. The woman who has been loyally there by your side all this time, who gave up her body and herself to bear your children. You're selfish. You wanted to feel excited, little difficult to be excited when you're getting pregnant and making a home and raising babies for some asshole who doesn't appreciate or respect you, just FYI. You're selfish and you're looking to blame this innocent, devoted woman for your selfish actions. Leave her alone. You don't deserve her and she deserves to be happy with someone who will know and appreciate her true value. This poster nailed it. It sounds like you're trying to grow up, but it's very likely too late. I don't know what to tell you. It sounds like you had something wonderful and made a conscious decision to spit on it and hurt the ones it was your duty to love and protect, as well as your privilege. She may not forgive you. What's worse, you've hurt her so deeply she will likely never be the same. You have no lines in this movie anymore. She now has to process her hurt at her own pace and in her own way, and it may not include you. Prepare yourself for that fact. Grow a pair and get into personal counseling. It may not save your marriage, but it might help you to not make the same mistakes in the future. You didn't cheat because of how they treated you. If you have a problem in the relationship, you deal with it by communicating with the other person in the relationship. Seeking validation elsewhere isn't dealing with your problems any more than saying you worked on your marriage by getting drunk. If you actually regretted what you did, you'd have made an effort to stop, but you didn't. Your only real concern here is what it always is, you. Now that your behavior has actual consequences for you, you regret it. You want to fix it, not because of what it did to your partner, but because it made your life more difficult. I hope your partner understands that you will, with 100% certainty, cheat again. Disagree completely. I know everyone responds to these things with what is the standard norm of cheating. Over the years we stopped communicating more and more due to her introversion. Things compiled, left unsettled and unsaid. In short, communication had dwindled away and became non-existent along with the intimacy or what was even there to begin with. Yes, I cheated. I took the pathetic ass easy way. The same route my father would have. I hate it. No excuse for it. I should have left and forced the issue. Additionally, I do not regret it because it made my life harder. I like hard work. I've always worked hard in every aspect of my life. I've never turned away from hard work. If done right, you become stronger when you work through hard. I regret because I didn't try hard enough for us. I became frustrated at the lack of communication on her end. I regret because she has always been the one I was drawn to and I think of me for her. Or maybe I was just easy. I don't know, but I do know that I love her and will regret what I did to her and our little family for as long as I am alive. I will miss all of the little things immensely. I can't even begin to describe it. I can say that I am determined to figure me out, give her her space, and no matter what she decides, it is her choice. I will respect, but I will never cheat again. I think everyone recognizes what you're saying. The problem is, we all know it's not true. Maybe you haven't figured it out yet, but we have. You are a serial cheater and are attempting to blame your partner for your cheating. You didn't cheat because you had communication problems. You didn't cheat because she's an introvert. You didn't take the easy way, in that what you decided to do wasn't going to do anything but make your problem worse. You are a serial cheater. Pretending like you had a conscience all along isn't something anyone is going to believe. You simply did it too often for too long to people to see anything other than fake remorse now. I do not regret it because it made my life harder. You don't regret ruining your children's home life and family? You clearly don't understand that you and your wife aren't the only ones impacted by what you did, and you are truly a shitty father if you don't regret putting your children through that only because you like your life hard. Guess what? You aren't just making your life hard. I can guarantee you that you could have found a better way of communicating than putting your sexual needs before your kids. So you're lying to your GF and us. I just can't tell if you're lying to yourself too, because the things you just said aren't true. You should leave her and let her find a better partner and not a cheating scumbag. You should think about the consequences before you cheated, and now your kids will have the same like both of you had a damaged home. Leave her and let her heal. If you actually loved her, you wouldn't want her to be with a guy like you. Therefore you don't. I don't want my children growing up without their father in the household. Really? Because your selfishness chose that for them. You knew what would happen and you still chose that for them and let them be victim to the consequences of your own actions. When the divorce is final, give me her number. She sounds amazing and sounds like someone who deserves to be treated as such. You're attending services and trying to find out who you are? You are selfish and someone who finds an excuse to do what you want. You are lucky she is even talking to you. Honestly, she should go North Carolina and call it a day. Be the best dad you can, that's what matters most. If you loved her, you wouldn't be trying to destroy her over and over again. That's not love. Let her go. She deserves better. And you deserve someone who is exactly like you. You sound like my ex. Insecure and constantly needed affirmation. When the woman is left to take care of the kids on her own and neglected in every way, how could she have the energy to constantly provide affirmation? Recognition is given when it is deserved. She couldn't find a way to be more intimate with before you cheated. And she won't now because she's feeling broken because you decided to cheat without bringing up the situation to her. How is she going to trust you not to do the same thing again? There's no way I can see you getting back with her. You've caused so much damage. It may be that she just doesn't have the will or the strength to work through it. I'm not making any excuses for this. It's disgusting and I've ripped her guts out. I'm just trying to give a glimpse of where we were during this period that this was going on. I brought my concerns up to her many times, she even acknowledged them and never tried to make the effort. The worst part is I decided to cheat because I did not want to leave my children when I actually should have enforced the issue. I don't know why and I'm going to figure it out. Right now I am just trying to be as amiable as possible, not bother her, just answer questions, pay bills and take the boys whenever I can. Her health while carrying the baby comes before everything else. I just hope nothing happens. I already don't know if I'll ever forgive myself, but if she miscarries I don't know what will happen. So she wasn't showing affection, but she's pregnant now? That sounds inconsistent. Nailed it. I get you think you're providing context, but honestly it just seems like you're lying to yourself here. It presents as you're trying to justify your horrible and repeated bad choices. I'm not making any excuses for this whatsoever. It's disgusting and I've ripped her guts out. I'm just trying to give a glimpse of where we were during this period that this was going on. No, you're really not. Telling us she was distant doesn't make your serial cheating justified or any less awful. You ducked up badly. That is 100% your own fault. Should she have worked with you during these discussions where you communicated your needs? Yes, as a good partner you should want to communicate and find ways to meet one another's needs. However, her distance didn't choose this for you, you did. In fact, you chose it over and over again. You could have said no and turned it around any one of those times, but you didn't. Own it and be fully accountable for your actions. Instead of blaming her as your reason for cheating, did it ever occur to you to ask yourself honestly why she was distant? What were your actions in this relationship that may or may not have contributed to that? She may not have been the best partner from what you said, fair enough. But clearly neither were you. Instead of just leaving like you should have, you chose the most selfish option. I hope you're able to find some clarity and figure out why you chose this route so you never ever do this again to someone else. Have the same values. Ah, the irony. She is perfect in every way, she is beautiful, smart, strong and very independent. Yet you cheated. We are great together in all aspects of life, we have the same taste, have the same values, and never disagree on how to raise our children or how to build for our future. Yet you still cheated. To put this simply, you are selfish. You know where she came from, because you two came from that same pain, and rather than heal together and make a beautiful future with this girl, you proved to be even more heartache for her than bliss. You have now joined that rank of emotional abuse she will now have to navigate through. I pray that your children will be well in these new adjustments. And now the trust that you both have built is shattered. Don't be surprised or angered if she decides to empty you from her heart. If she decides to move on without you, respect this. If you want any chance of redemption, listen to all of her wishes and demands. Give her space. Heed her time. At this point, recovery is more up to her than you. In this time, you need to figure out things about yourself and what you want in any of this. Trauma brought you both together and now it's driven you apart. If you know you're no good for her, which you do and currently are, leave and give her peace. You put all of this on her while she's pregnant. You both need time away from each other. You do not have the same values. I don't understand how you could even type something like that. The really difficult part comes later when the children start asking who is to blame. The best thing you can do is accept the blame for cheating. Don't give excuses and blame the victim. Nobody forces anyone to cheat regardless of if they feel wanted or not. Believe me, I know exactly how hard it can be when you feel unwanted and some gorgeous woman throws herself at you. I can also tell you the feeling of being cheated on due to a rough patch of health and her feeling unwanted. I promise you the feeling of showing her proof that I had every chance to repay her cheating but chose to honor my promise to her even though she broke her promise was way better than any amount of feeling wanted can give. When the time comes, let your children know that she maintained her honor even though you gave yours up repeatedly. That way whenever they grow up they will understand just how important it is to keep your honor and your promises. I'm not trying to bash you. I fully believe that if you want to help her life and the best thing you can do is just make sure her children know what a wonderful woman she is. Tell the truth and let the chips fall. I'd say give her space and don't be selfish. What she gains the children also gain. For example, my dad continued to pay some bills when he left. He had to make sacrifices to give his children the best life. That's the best thing you can do here. Also, I understand what you've done. It's difficult being undervalued in that area and I'm currently going through the same thing. My partner is not affectionate at all. But all those great qualities you mention are worth more and that's what keeps me on the straight and narrow. Surely you didn't throw all that away for just sex sake? I hope your therapy helps you. Thank you. How did you guys work it out? How long have things taken? Obviously I'm sure things are very different than before. Just curious about all of it. Thank you, and yes, I am giving her space and being as amiable as possible. Not bothering her, only answering questions and taking the boys as much as I can. I am still going to continue to put my share of money towards the bills. I need to do everything I can to make sure she is healthy as can be right now with pregnancy. Everything else is secondary. It was 3 weeks ago from today. So yes, very fresh. I have moved out and am being as amiable as I can ever be. I'm not bothering her. Only answering questions and taking the boys as much as I can. I do want to discuss my state of mind during those times, but at a later date down the road. This is my fault and there is no excuse for it. I still cannot understand why I did this. Well, I suggest you get counseling immediately to show her you are serious. Be prepared however that she can't forgive you, and will divorce you. If she decides it is over, accept that. What made you confess, or did you get caught? I was caught, self-sabotage I believe. She has been using my laptop for work and I knew full well I might get emails from websites. She saw an email notification from one of them. I gave her my phone and let her go through it and answered questions honestly about all of it. And what exactly do you want from her? Reconciliation? Do you have a plan on how to work on that? I do want reconciliation if she thinks she can try. I just don't know how anyone can get past what I have done. I've already begun counseling, started church today. I am going to get a psychological test in a month as well. The only thing I can do now is give her space, time, and take the boys as much as I can. She is carrying our third child, her health right now is first and foremost. All I can do is stay away and work on myself and figure me out. I owe them that at the very least. Ex-boyfriend won't stop telling every guy I cheated even though it was 10 years ago. When I was 19, I had an unexpected pregnancy. My ex didn't want to keep the baby, but I did and we stayed together anyway. She was born with a birth defect and died at 2 days old. Because I knew my ex never wanted her, I definitely blamed him, which was wrong. I was upset he didn't care like I did. I ended up cheating with a guy at a support group whose young child also died. I take full responsibility. We broke up, and I took a big break from relationships and pursued personal therapy. My ex is married now, yet every relationship I've been in since, 3, including my fiancé, he's messaged the guy warning him that I'm a cheater and the second time even messaged the guy's parents. Both the relationships ended shortly after, and now he's contacted my fiancé, who I actually told ahead of time and understands. I found out the reason why he's been able to find out about all my relationships is because he follows a ton of my family members on Facebook. I don't have it. Do I tell everyone to block him? I tried to talk to him about it and he says if I don't tell them I'm lying by omission, but it was 10 years ago. He says that it says something about my character that can't be fixed with time. I went to therapy. It was horrible circumstances and I honestly don't think I'm a bad person. I don't know if it would be wrong to take this to his wife. I'm afraid he's going to tell my fiancé's parents or my future kids. I just want him to stop. What would you do? Edit, speaking with his wife now. She's very concerned about his behavior and is actually a very kind woman. Edit, I was asked to put this into the post. I was 19 at the time, my ex was 30, and we're 29 and 40 now. Edit, he and his wife got into a big fight. She's creeped out by the obsession and worried he hasn't gotten over me. The age gap at the time bothered her especially because there's an age gap between the two of them and she thought he was making an exception for her. He sent my boyfriend a very ominous "you will regret this" message and we're thinking of involving the police. I commented earlier but I wanted to add something. Which is that it sounds like you've had it pretty rough. That's a lot to go through at 19, a pregnancy then loss of a baby. And to have an insensitive and unsupportive partner to boot. It's cruel given these tragedies that he's trying to hold over your head, the fact that when you were very young and going through a tragedy you cheated on him. 10 years ago. You were 19. And for him to be chasing you around all these years trying to ruin your relationships and never allowing you to forget this mistake. I don't know you but I know you deserve better. You've been through a lot. Cheating is not unusual, which isn't to say I condone it, and not a shame somebody should have to carry around forever. It's a very human mistake. Take care of yourself and I hope this relationship works out. He was 30. You were 19. Someone was emotionally stunted here and it was not you. Edit, read ops last edit. For all of you defending her ex, tell me how he's still a victim when he's dangerous and resorting to threats. Evaluate yourselves, Jesus Christ, before you identify with this man. Early 30s female. The fact that she's still younger than how old he was when he started a relationship with her and it's been 10 years. Like if my partner's ex was like, hey yes my profile says I'm 40 and about 10 years ago I was dating your ex. Yes she was 19 and I was 30 but clearly she was the maladjusted person? What do you mean it's creepy that I knocked up a 19-year-old at 30 and I still won't let go of it? Yup. The men defending him here don't understand it's stucking toxic. Even if you flipped the genders, the actions are what are speaking for themselves. He could also do what a normal person does and move the duck on and never contact them again. Not replay it over and over and keep stalking them years after. If it were still raw, then okay, but it happened 10 years ago. That man really needs to move on. And he's still not over it, despite being married. Dude sounds like he's a sandwich short of a picnic. That last sentence is such a good analogy. I'm definitely using it in the future. It's absolutely sad that he and a bunch of incels think cheating justify harassment and stalking. Cheating is awful, yes, but you generally don't keep up with your ex when it's over. One of them is a 22F who has clearly been groomed since she was 12. Unlike Op, who has gone through therapy to move forward, she's still stuck in her special situation. I hope she finds the help she so clearly needs. Oh dear. I hope she gets out of that place herself. Me too. I was so sure she was an incel, but it was actually a lot worse. Wait, who's a 22F that what groomed since 12? I'm stealing this line, it's so good. My eyes went so wide when I saw those ages. He didn't want a child because he had a child. She was a child, Jesus. I've had this talk with my therapist before, but it's a hard thing for me to realize even now. I thought I was very mature for my age, I wasn't, and he used to tell me so all the time. I don't like thinking that I was groomed, but I may very well have been. That's definitely grooming behavior, even though it's difficult to accept. If it helps, you are slightly younger than he was then. Could you imagine yourself dating a 19-year-old? No? That's the well-adjusted response. I think that says something about his character that can't be changed with time, and that's being projected onto you. As long as you can come to terms with the fact you were a victim and that you hurt someone and won't do it again, I don't see why he should keep crucifying you. Harassing you is just horrifying. I hope you have patience and peace with yourself through all of this. Thank you. I have some horrible days where I remember what I did and it hurts so much, but I can't spend the rest of my life hating myself for something I have taken so many steps to grow from as a human being. I was grieving and I was in so much pain, dealing with a tragedy so horrible that it hurt just to be awake because it was all I could think about. I was in pain all the time. What I did was horrible and wrong, but that doesn't make me a horrible person. And now I'm with a man I really truly love, who understands me and I know I can always be open with, because he's always open with me. At the end of the day, I don't deserve this harassment. Comments like yours mean a lot. Thank you again. He is only doing this to keep you feeling bad. He doesn't only want to control your relationships or inform innocent guys. No, he wants you to keep hating yourself and keep feeling the pain and stay constantly reminded of your dead child that he wanted aborted. This is some weird revenge power trip only intended to keep hurting you. Let's look at this situation from the perspective of your brain and its need for survival. You were in a relationship with a much older, and therefore probably manipulative man. You got unexpectedly pregnant, trauma number 1, your boyfriend rejected the pregnancy, trauma number 2, you went through pregnancy with no emotional support from him, your child was born with a birth defect, trauma number 3, then your child died, trauma number 4. He gave you no emotional support even then. So you seek it out from a support group, and meet someone who understands. It's well established that grief can cause some funky sexual behaviors for people. From my perspective, your brain saw that you were stuck in a bad situation and did what it could to get you out of it by pushing you towards someone else. It rescued you from a continued relationship with a man who gave you no support whatsoever. A lot of people like to think cheating is some permanent character flaw, or just a selfish act. Sometimes it is. But nothing is ever that simple. I think a lot of people who have cheated, especially when they were young, before the brain has finished developing, and are now in long-term relationships, will probably tell you that they are glad they got out of the original relationship, even if it wasn't by the most elegant means. This man is mentally ill. He is fixated on causing you even more pain despite being heavily responsible for some of your most painful experiences in life. Don't give self-blame or self-loathing the time of day, and do whatever means necessary to cut this man out of your life. I don't think it's crossing the line at this point to go to the police and file a report of harassment. Document each time he has contacted people, and even if it's not enough for action now, it's good to have it on record that you have made a complaint. For some people, a call from the police with a warning is enough to make them stop. Then go on and enjoy your life. You've been through a lot and you deserve a chance at happiness. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.